Hello, winners, and welcome to Two for the Win with your hosts, Nick and Will. Have you ever wondered about New Zealand? Well, one of your hosts just came back from New Zealand and has some insights to share. So, hope you tune in and join us for this whole time. So, before we get started, I want to give a shout out to Nick Menard and Associates with Dream Vacations for sponsoring today's episode. And please be sure to subscribe, share, and follow Two for Your Win on your favorite platform. Happy Wanderlust Wednesday, Nick.
Happy Wednesday, Will. Happy Wednesday, winners.
So it's not often that I go to a spot that you haven't been, because you've been to far more places than I have. But I did recently go to New Zealand.
Jealous.
Yeah, it's nice. So one of the perks of my gig in full transparency is we have global offices. And so I went out to visit our Sydney office, but front end decided to take some PTO. And so I arrive in Sydney, then I pay for my flight to go from Sydney to Auckland, New Zealand, and then pay for my flight to come back, obviously pay for the lodging while I'm in New Zealand. But it's a nice way to kind of extend a work trip and get to see places I wouldn't otherwise see. And I saw northern New Zealand for the first time, and man, what a place. So I know that's one of your dream destinations, but anything you want to comment before I go down memory lane a bit here and talk about New Zealand?
So yeah, that's definitely top three of my my list that I really want to experience once in my life that I didn't do yet. Why? Because of everything that I already saw on pictures, on videos, from clients, from social media, from TV. Like of course the Lord of the Ring. Yet I know you will mention that a little bit as well. You send me the pictures every day, and I was like, oh. I'm like, stop, but I want more. So it's good. And I know you did one part of New Zealand. You will talk more about this. And I know they're both great. So there's still more to do. So next one I'm going to be with and going to experience the rest.
Yeah, it was amazing. I will definitely go back. And for certain to see the southern half as well, the southern islands, because from what I understand, they're even more beautiful. And northern New Zealand was beautiful. But let me give the little lay of the land. So we'll go down a little journey here, and hopefully our winners, our listeners enjoy it and maybe consider booking a New Zealand trip with Nick Menard and Associates with Dream Vacations. But first, so the flight, that's probably the biggest thing people are going to have to deal with. So I flew out of Fort Myers, and I flew 3.5 hours to Houston. And then Houston had a short layover, and then flew 17 hours to Sydney. And then Sydney to Auckland is a gosh over 3 hours. So it was a lot of flying. Fortunately, I did sleep a little bit on the flight from Houston to Sydney, so I felt pretty good. But I arrive in New Zealand, and I rarely make this kind of mistake, I guess you can call it. But for some reason, it didn't dawn on me that New Zealand drove the cars are on the same side as like the UK. So I had, and this is one of the benefits of being a travel agent. So I had looked at different excursions and got some ideas, but I wasn't quite sure of my itinerary. But I ended up booking some things, and it was going to require a lot of driving. So New Zealand's beautiful, but things are spread out, right? And so whether you take a tour on a bus, and that was ultimately the only reason why I didn't want to do a tour on a bus. I kind of wanted to do my own pace. I didn't want to be stuck, when I'm going with this. So I decided, I'm gonna rent a car, not even dawning on me that the steering wheel might be on the right side of the car. Yeah, because I knew I had a lot of drive. I had my route mapped out. Everything's great. So I show up. I get into Auckland, not a very huge airport, big, but not huge. And you have to walk across to go to the rental agency. It's like literally right. You walk across the parking lot and it's right there. And I'm standing in line, and I get the car, no problems, real easy. I got a truck, actually, pickup truck, because I knew I was going to go in some rustic areas, so I wanted 4x4.
Smart.
And it was very reasonably priced. And I opened up the door, and I'm like, oh, shabingy bungy. I'm like, uh-oh. And I get that little bit of panic, I'm like, oh. But I'm like, no, it's a growth opportunity, new experience. I'm just going to be smart, follow people. So it literally took me 3 minutes to figure out how to start it, because I'm looking in different areas, trying to find the button. Anyway, long and short of it is, I eventually got out of the parking lot because I'm going the wrong way right off the bat. But I get out, and then I go to my hotel. I'm in downtown Auckland. If you ever see pictures of Auckland, there's this big Space Needle type thing similar to Seattle. Well, that's called Sky City. And they have a casino there. There's a lot of restaurants, resorts. So in any event, I stayed at a hotel literally right across the street from the casino. Go figure. Haha. And it was a 5-star resort, super affordable. I think US, I probably paid 135 a night.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, for a 5-star. Very well done. To be honest, it didn't seem like a 5-star. It really seemed like a 4-star, but it was super clean, super nice, but it just wasn't like uber luxurious like I normally think of as a 5-star. But fantastic. And the first thing I did when my flight was about to land is I booked a massage at the hotel, because I knew my back, after sitting that long, like I needed to work out the Charlie horses or whatever, the gnats. So I check in, hour later, getting massage. Fantastic. So now I feel great. Go back to the room, change, head to the casino, and immediately made a donation to the greatest people of New Zealand. It did not go as well. They didn't have the games that I was familiar with, so I played some slots, didn't hit anything. The table games are a lot of Asian influence, so they're games I'm not familiar with, so I wasn't playing a lot of that. But it was nice. It was really nice. Big place. You have to take this escalator way up, and you go up and in, and they had a live band playing, which was cool. So very cool. So that's first night in, fun. Go back.
Question before you go day 2. So interesting. First of all, for the car, did you experience roundabouts? Because I remember when I was first time I drove on the right side in the UK long time ago. That was the most challenging, because you take the roundabout on the left side instead of getting in on the right side, and that's what threw me off the most, because that's totally logic based on all logic.
Oh yeah.
And so following cars, but when you end up being the first, there is nobody you followed, but people follow you. That's where you need to be extra careful. But the roundabout, did you experience that?
I did. And fortunately for the first couple, I was behind somebody, so I just followed them. And plus the GPS now, it does kind of guide the path, which helps.
That's true.
But but I forgot. So I show up to the hotel, first night, and they have like most places in Europe. I don't know why the US doesn't do this, but their parking garages go underground instead of above ground, and it looks nicer. Anyway, so there's 6 floors underground, and I go to park at like the 3rd floor, and I'm trying to park from being on the right side of the car. It looked like I was disadvantaged. I'll just put it that way, because it was, and there's a guy behind me, and all of a sudden I'm flaring up, because I'm like, oh, I look like an idiot, and this guy's waiting. So I said, forget it. So I go down 4, down 5, go down, absolutely down to the bottom of the 6, no one around, and I'm trying. Anyway, I practiced for a little bit to do it, and but I did actually do it. But I parked at that 6th level the whole time I was there.
It is what it is. So, on the hotel side, anything to share with the audience? Like, do they have also a resort fee, like they do in Vegas, for example, or New York, when you have resort fee on top of what you paid, or you didn't pay anything on the side?
No resort fee, taxes, but that's it. No resort fee. And actually, one thing, obviously, I think most people would understand, but just in case you don't think about this, is they have their own unique electric. outlet. So
Yeah,
it's the same as
Europe.
Australia, but it's different than Europe.
Yeah,
So
but
I got all these
yeah.
different plugs. But it's something just to be aware of.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. And other than the fact that it's Asian, influenced by Asian culture in the casino, anything else that you experience? I know that it's the same as Europe and Australia, so tips are not, you know, expected as much
Yeah.
as in the US. I think US is pretty much the only one, but also for travelers going there, things to think about is that you don't have the expectation, so you can give something. But if you give something by experience, they will be shocked and wonder, no, sir, then, it's not the price. So something good to know.
Yeah.
Feel free to give, but if you give $1 or $5 is way more than what they even think about. So
Yeah.
something to think about with Australia and New Zealand. It's definitely that as well. So great. Go ahead. Day two.
No, and the point is they actually pay their service workers a healthy wage so that they're not dependent on tips, where here in the US employers kind of subsidize the wages by expecting people to tip. So it's not like these people are making less money because of the tips. I mean, depending on the place, but they're getting paid well. So first night's in the book, good. Room, great. Bed, phenomenal. The bed was very comfortable. I slept extremely well. I don't sleep a lot. So.
On the right side as well, or?
Yeah, no kidding, right? No, I'm a side sleeper on the left. So I was not on the right side, but bathroom was large. Shower. I know
it's bigger than Europe.
Yeah, yeah, and the shower was very nice. I mean, just great room. Didn't have to wait long for elevators. Nothing. It was great. So the next day was my kind of casual drive around day, and so there were a couple things I wanted to do and a couple things I planned I didn't get to. So I looked up, different places of things to do in northern New Zealand, and they have this hike to see a waterfall. So that was one stop. Then they have these mineral springs. They're basically hot springs that get up to like 90 some degrees or more, and you can go in the water, and but you should wear not your best swimming outfit because of sulfur and the stink with it. So I read that. So I brought a nice swimming shorts and then one for the mineral spring. So I had the mineral spring short with me in the bag. And then I was going to wrap up with going to this beach that's on the near a base of a volcano in Plexing. Anyway, I got a little bit later start than normal for me because I was just kind of easing into the day. I felt fine, but I don't know, I was just kind of casually getting going. And then I had to drive about, I want to say it was like 2.5 hours to this hike for the waterfall. Found it fine. Again, I was following people, not driving as fast as normal so I could get my bearings on stuff. But it's a very easy place to drive and navigate. And here's some funny things along the drive that I never thought I would experience in New Zealand. They have a boatload of cows. Everywhere more than Wisconsin. I'm raised in Wisconsin and they're known for cows. There's cows everywhere. So between meat and milk and the cheese, like, they're an island. So, and they have a lot of grass and land that can support the. I've never seen so many cows in my life.
Oh, wow.
And same with sheep. More cows than sheep, but a ton of sheep. And they're just all like, and I think I have a clip that can show one where the sheep are running across the fence line, but a ton of livestock, of sheep and cows, some horses, but definitely the cows. I was just like, wow, there's cows everywhere. They're not playing around. So if you want high quality steak, cheese, dairy, New Zealand, it's authentic. Like it's right there grown, and they're free range. They're just roaming around on these massive plots of land. Anyway, so I get to the hike, And it's funny, you actually start at the top of the waterfall. So you can walk, and just before you can start your hike to go down, well, first you go through all these trees and stuff, but then you get to the place where it's okay, you're gonna go down to the base of the waterfall. But just to the left, you can see they have this is the top of the waterfall. So you actually I went off to the side of the left and I'm looking down on the thing, seeing all the people. I'm like, oh, cool. So I go down the stairs and just beautiful. Like there's green everywhere. The waterfall is very tall, goes into this little lake, little pool. And and absolutely stunning. You've probably seen some pictures of that now. But then walking back up, remember when we had the episode and we were talking about Waterloo and up those steps? Wasn't quite that steep, but it wasn't easy either. And I'm like, oh, man, that's a workout. So getting back up, and I get there, and then the springs I wanted to hit was another 3-hour drive. And they closed entry to the park at like 3:00. So I wouldn't have made it, or I would have been cutting it really close. I'm like, I don't want to do that. So I decided to skip the springs, and went to the beach. So driving to the beach, you're winding, they're not mountains, but it's very hilly in New Zealand. And so you're winding and cutting through these and very narrow pathways, but beautiful. Just to see the green there, a lot of green, livestock, and then all of a sudden you see this kind of like really big, not quite a mountain, but not a hill, like it's somewhere in between, something like that. And I'm like, oh, that's the spot. And so I go down this windy path and finally get to it. And there's literally 6 people on this beach. Like it's desolate. No one's around. Black sand.
Oh, wow.
Black volcanic rock. The waves are massive, massive waves. And one dude, I'm walking down and he's just sitting by himself, strumming a guitar, singing. And I'm like, all right, that's cool. Like, just whatever. And I'm walking around and checking everything out. And about 25 minutes later, he grabs his surfboard and boom, out he goes. And man, that first time he tried to take a wave, that wave 1, that dude 0. Like he went up and he went immediately down in a goosh. But the waves were huge. The beach was beautiful, clean. Just super clean. Amazingly clean. And then, how I like to wander and stuff and just kind of come across. So off to the side of this beach, I wandered quite a ways, and they had a big compilation of the volcanic rocks. And sure enough, inside is almost like a little cavern. I'm like, oh, let me check this out. I start walking. I caught myself. Big spider web. I almost walked into.
Oh my! I would have.
Yeah. Oh, I was like, ooh, the light hit it just right where I saw it, and I'm like, ooh, I didn't see a spider, but
yeah,
it was big. It was a big web, so that spider was not small. But anyway, I sat out there, and there's some birds and stuff, and then I just was listening to the water. Absolutely gorgeous. So then I drive back. Of course, go back to the casino, eat all that other stuff. Great time.
How is food in New Zealand?
Food in New Zealand is really good. It's very diverse, like Sydney. I know we'll talk about Sydney in another episode, but the food is very British. So they have the meat pies and stuff like that. But there's a heavy influence of Asian and Indian. And so actually, I was telling you about the wings. So I ordered wings from this Indian restaurant of all places. Like normally you do Thai wings, Korean wings, but I'm like, it's something different. And it was garlic honey wings. And I think we're probably showing the picture here now of it, but that came and it had like a panko breading, and the taste, the way they did the garlic and the honey, I've never had a better wing. And I know you love wings. I have never tasted something so flavorful, meaty, just the right mix of crunchy with the breading, but not too crunchy and not too light. It was phenomenal. Like I would go back just for the wings, to have those again. So yeah, I know I sent you the name of the place. Probably say amazing.
Hmm.
And I had Thai, and then I had I didn't tell you this, but they had remember in Belgium they had the little waffles that were coated with stuff.
Hmm.
They do it a little differently. So they take half a waffle, not a full waffle. They take half a waffle on a stick. They dip it in whatever. So
Hmm.
some are dipped in cinnamon, some in chocolate, some just sugar or whatever, and then they coat it. But it's not like the Belgian waffles where they're thicker.
Thicker.
They're thinner, so they're crispier.
Ah,
That it's almost like eating a not quite a cracker,
mm.
but it's that kind of
Okay.
texture. But the food was great. Yeah, I ended up coming back heavier than what I left. And highly recommend New Zealand food. And then the third day was my more planned day. And that's where I went to Hobbiton for Lord of the Rings.
So want to do that.
And then the idea I got thanks to Dream Vacations about Animal Caves, which are glowworm caves. So first, let me talk about this Lord of the Rings. It's out in the middle of nowhere. So I drove 2.5 hours to get to it. And it literally is someone's property. So the guy still lives there where they built this. And the first time they built it and the Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship of the Ring, it was all temporary because they planned to take it down. When Peter Jackson decided to do The Hobbit, he went back out to this guy and they built something permanent. And now they're in business together where they do these tours, right? But anyway, so I show up to Hobbiton. The first thing you do, you pull into the parking lot. Obviously, you walk in, and they have like this open field where people are just standing around getting ready for the next tour. And then they have a cafe at the top, and they have great pastries and food there to eat, and the really good selection, reasonably priced. That's the other thing. New Zealand money, the exchange rate is in favor of the US dollar. So if something costs 10 New Zealand dollars, it's really like 7.
Okay, wow.
So
30%.
yeah, so it saves quite a bit. And then the gift shop. And the gift shop, we're probably showing this picture of Gandalf right now. You got this big life-size statue of Gandalf standing next. So many different things packed in this gift shop, unique, really cool items. And then they have this like overhang with a canopy, and you line up for your time. So they do tours they stagger them, I think every 15, 20 minutes. So I go into my tour in the bus, and while you're in the bus, you got the person talking about different stuff as they drive to the area. And then they show some videos on the bus, talking about the history of how they found this place and everything. Just phenomenal. So then you walk in, you get off the bus, and I never knew this. There's 44 little Hobbit planes. 44. Now, 2 are fully built up, meaning they have kitchens, they have bedrooms, they have a living room, they have a little like pantry area, which is just amazing to walk around. And then the others are they're big enough, just enough for somebody to walk in and close the door for the movie. So they're like 3-4 feet, maybe deep, maybe 8 feet wide, something like that. But they let everything naturally grow there. So they don't plan certain things to grow or whatever. They just leave it all natural. So it's very green. The colors of these Hobbit doors and everything, just amazing. And, for those who are familiar with Lord of the Rings, you got that massive tree, which is amazing. Well, one fun fact about not that tree, but a tree on that property is in Lord of the Rings, the book, Tolkien describes this tree and leaves. Well, they don't have that specific tree in New Zealand. So Peter Jackson had them create 300,000 leaves, artificial leaves that represent this tree, and hand sew onto the tree. And then because of the sun, and when they were filming this, the leaves got sun bleach. So he went to a local university in the art department and is like, hey, do you want to be part of Lord of the Rings? They're like, yeah. So he had the students hand paint 300,000 leaves to show up. And you know how long that tree shows up in the movie? 6 seconds. But that's the kind of detail he had, right? For it.
Wow.
Anyway, it was phenomenal. The tour guide, she was amazing. She was originally from the UK. A lot of good stories. And then, and you go on this tour, and the tour lasts about 2 hours. And you go into this pub. In the pub, they have this book, and it's encased, and all the actors signed it who are there at Hobbiton. So, you see all their signatures there, which is cool. You get a beer that is just known for like the Hobbit beer. It's the only place you can get it. It was tasty. It was tasty. If you're a fan of the Lord of the Rings, you have to see Hobbiton once. I had high expectations just because I'm a fan of the movie. It exceeded my expectations. Phenomenal. I would do it again. I would do the tour again.
Good.
The bridge, everything. And then of course I bought a bunch of stuff and that wrapped up. And then the last thing I did was went to the Watomo Cave. So that was another 2-hour drive. So you have to be prepared to drive around in northern New Zealand because nothing is batched together close. But these caves have limestone that's been like thousands of years where it's dripping and it's, connecting all this limestone. And you go in this little boat, and the guy's, telling all the stories, but you go in this cave and obviously cave gets pitch black and all of a sudden you see the neon blue lights. You're probably seeing a picture of this now. And that's the tail of the glowworm. And so they have this little light and there's a string that comes out of that light and their tail that's sticky. It's almost like a spider web, but it's just a single strand. And so you see all these strands sticking down, and that's what, when the insects come in, they catch it, and then they pull it up and eat it, and off they go. But unfortunately, they towards the end, they allow you to take some pictures. I didn't have the right setting on my camera or whatever, so you can't see the picture of the glowworms, but you've probably seen a picture of me coming out of the cave. But that was super cool. And I wouldn't have found out about that without Dream Vacations and the vendors they had set up. So sincere thank you to Dream Vacations. And just New Zealand was amazing. So I spent 4 days, 3 nights. Then flew back to Sydney for work, and I'll talk about Sydney in a future episode. But I didn't do the mineral springs and the hot springs, and that would be really cool to do the north and then the south, right? You're talking about it then. So the south. Highly, highly recommend New Zealand, and the people friendly. I'm in the gym. I went to the gym one day because I was eating New Zealand food and enjoying myself. And I'm like, I got to work out at least once, right? So I go to the gym and I'm all by myself. I'm working out. And some guy comes in and he's like, good morning. And he's just another person to do it. Like, but he said it like sometimes you hear somebody, they give you a nod or they maybe say morning. No, he's like, good morning, chair. The people there were so freaking friendly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm like, and I guess I would be too if I lived in a place that looked like paradise and, you could live reasonably well. Like things weren't like crazy expensive. Now, granted, I got a bit of a discount because of the exchange rate, but they weren't that bad. Sydney's far more expensive than New Zealand. And just a great place. And I will definitely go back and definitely check out the southern part, but the northern, so much to do. Highly recommend.
Wow. Well, thank you for taking us on this journey. I have one question before we wrap up.
Sure.
So you mentioned that you have that you had a lot of driving around outside the coast. Anything great to see on the road when you are driving in landscaping or anything or it's just like literally like nothing?
No, it's a lot of plush green. I actually stopped a few times, pulled over the road. They have this big dam.
Okay, so there's things to see.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's not like a boring drive where you're looking at grasslands. There's a lot to see.
Yeah, it's not alligator alley.
No. It's a lot to see. And the air, just, the air is so clean. So I actually turned off I wouldn't even have the AC on. I had the windows open all the time. I was just enjoying the fresh air, blasting the tunes, and trying to make sure I stayed on the right side of the street. So, which was the left side.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. I mean, we already at time, but yeah, if you think about New Zealand, let us know, and we can definitely help. But I definitely want to do it. I said it before, and now even more. So thank you for that. But yeah, sounds amazing. So definitely gonna check it out very soon.
Highly recommend, and check out Nick Menard and Associates of Dream Vacations. Like, again, the tours they can set up, the different excursions, or even the free days that you can get ideas on your own of stuff to do through the vendors they work with. Well worth it. Very cool, and hope you take the plunge if you haven't been. It's a very magical place. But with that, please be sure to subscribe, share, and follow Two for the Win on your favorite platform. Thanks again to Nick Menard and Associates of Dream Vacations for sponsoring today's episode, and we will chat with you next Wanderlust Wednesday. Winners, take care.
Thank you. Bye bye.